What is good, one? Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you guys are. Welcome, welcome, welcome to All Things Ruthless, home of the Ruthless Addicts. And tonight, you guys, we're definitely going to go ahead and discuss this very first episode of the Blackdagger Brotherhood. Yes, yes, yes. If you've read the books, if you have read the books, then you know exactly how it all goes down. And when I tell you, as a person who just literally finished the books and is starting to learn and read more of J.R. Ward's works, the first episode is literally the first 5 to 10, if not more, chapters of the book. Okay. Listen, this series is going to be amazing. I literally could not leave my bed from watching this episode. I was literally all in. I turned it on at 12 o'clock at night on Passion Flicks, and I definitely had to keep watching it, you guys. So how many of you have watched the episode so far? Let me know your thoughts. Did they fulfill the requirements for being a part of the Blackdagger Brotherhood? So I gave you guys a little bit of an intro video earlier, and we know that in the very first scene of this episode, there's a conversation between Darius as well as wow, I forgot his y'all gotta forgive me. My brain is not working right now. It's not working. It's not working. Hold on, y'all. I got to get my life together real quick. I do apologize. I do apologize. And I know his name, Torment. Why did that strike? Why did that name not come to my mouth, to my thoughts? Anyway, because he's one of the hot ones. Anyway, I digress. Torment is having a conversation with Darius, and the conversation basically is all about him Darius getting Wrath to basically transition Beth, his daughter, into not a lesson, y'all. He's going to turn her into a vampire. The vampire that she already is. She's already half breed. And then we notice also that throughout this first episode, Beth is experiencing a lot of different things that are already pointing to the signs that she should already be a vampire anyway. She's, pretty much to herself. She's I don't want to call her a loner, but she kind of is a loner. She's literally to herself, nobody but her and her cat Boo. Doesn't have friends, doesn't date, the only one that she really talks to that works at the police department is Jose. And we're going to get into we're definitely going to get into the episode, everything that happened within this episode. But she's just a to yourself type of person. And even when she's sitting at her desk, you can kind of see there's no pictures of anybody else. There's literally just her cat, a picture of Boost at her desk. Okay. So again, like I said, Darius as well as Torment are having a conversation, and they're sitting there. They're actually waiting for Wrath to come into the room. And, because Wrath is this whole big presence. Literally, it seems as if everything stops when Wrath comes into the room. Now, they're in Screamers right now. So Screamers is a nightclub where the dark side, I'll say that, where they hang out. And all the different people, this is where they go to hang out. And so literally, it's almost as if Wrath, as soon as he walks into the room, he can literally hear everything. He can hear the ice drop in the cup. He can hear his vision is super sharp because he's one of those powerful vampires. And his energy is literally, it's like the room is almost parting so that he can come through. They have the utmost respect. Like I said, Darius wants him to turn Beth. And of course, Torment is saying, why him? Like, why Wrath? You sure you want Wrath to do this? And Darius is like, he is our king, and you will respect him. Plus, he has the purest blood of all of us, and he feels like through Wrath, Beth will have a chance as far as surviving the whole transition process. Well, as soon as he comes, we'll skip that, and then we're going to get back to when Raph actually makes it to the table. But we see Beth, and like I told y'all, she has nothing but a picture of her cat on the table, literally. She doesn't keep in contact with her foster families. None of the foster families that, you know, we found out about that she, you know, has. But we also know that she was, that her mother, her actual biological mother, ended up passing away, which is how she actually ended up in the foster care system. Now, again, right here at this, when they gave this man the name Dick, he's literally a dick. Okay. He is a sexual harasser times 12. He is, if the Me Too movement was out during this time, he would be top of the list, losing his job and everything else. But you know, she tries to keep it professional, and she says it, you know, if you read the book, or if you heard it in the book, you do know that, you know, she is saying, you know, I'm trying to just keep my job, you know, so this is why she doesn't, you know, report him for his actions, which, you know, all she got to do is snatch him up a little bit. I guarantee he'll leave her alone. But, you know, she's just trying to keep her job. So like I said, in this particular scene, we're going to see Raph as well as Darius at the table, and they're having their conversation. And of course, this young waitress, she walks up, and literally Raph can kind of hear her heart beating. She literally stops. I don't know what, and if maybe someone can help me understand what actually caused her to freeze the way she did. Is it because she is in the presence of Raph, or is it just, you know, literally everything stops in front of Raph? I need someone to help me understand that part. But that's exactly what happens. Literally everything stops. Literally everything stops. She stops, and once Raph and Darius tell her, hey, you're good, we don't need anything, she is finally able to walk away. Maybe she just didn't want to become a Shellin. Maybe she didn't want to become a Lesson. Maybe she didn't want to become any type of vampire type situation. Maybe that's why she walked away the way that she did. Y'all explain in the comments. Let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on why she did what she did. But also, y'all, we're seeing, like I said, Raph is not willing. We find out that Raph is not willing to transition Darius's daughter. And he tells him that, you know, and Darius is like, look, you're the only option. You know, I wish, you know, I hope that you will do this for me. You're really the only option. And, you know, Raph is just not, he just does not want to do it. Now, why he really doesn't want to, we'll find out a little bit later. But we also see where Raph has made his way outside of Screamers, and he's passing all sorts of people. He's passing, you know, different people. But then he hears, it's almost, you know, his senses are heightened, and we see that there's literally a bullet that goes flying past his head, and he moves so that it misses him. Like, he clearly knows that there is danger. His senses are there. And so he takes out one of his stars and he throws it. And it literally lands in this guy's neck. And then once Raph realizes who it is, he basically helps him disappear by putting that black dagger in his chest. And he is literally basically disseminated, just washed away. Burnt literally to a crust away, just gone, okay? So this shows the strength of the Black Dagger. But then we have this moment, and when I tell y'all, yes, I did read it in the book. I did listen to it on Audible. This moment right here was literally played out word for word from the book, from the way that Billy Riddle was touching Beth, the ripping of her clothing, just everything that happened in the book. It literally happened on this scene right here. And then she grabs him and frees herself. She grabs him because she has to play along for a second, and long enough just to make him think, okay, she's really, you know, she's really going to comply. And then she grabs him at the eggplant region, and he screams, and when he falls over, she kicks him, and then she runs, but not before he could lay hands on her, not just on her body, but he ends up putting his hands on her with his fist, and I'll say it like that. And then we meet our girl Cherry Pie. Cherry Pie is, like I said, she's a young lady that is, she has a pimp. I'll say that. Y'all know what it means when you got a pimp. She has a pimp, and Butch is like, hey, hey, young lady, hey, Cherry Pie, I'll say it like that. Hey, Cherry Pie, I was talking to my friend about this program that we have to help you guys get off the streets, so on and so forth. Well, Cherry Pie is not, she's still young. She's not listening, really. She's not really ready to change at this point. I'm pretty sure Cherry Pie has an addiction as well, but she's just okay with the life that she is living. So, right now we don't get to see that there is a change in her life, but we do see, unfortunately, we do see Darius make his way to his car. And as he is sitting in his car, he realizes that something is going wrong with Beth. And that's that's literally simultaneously as Beth is getting assaulted, Darius feels that something is not right with Beth. And unfortunately, he's not going to live to be able to help her, because someone has put a kaboom in his vehicle, y'all. Someone has put a bomb in his car, and he's gone. Unfortunately, Darius has been unalived. So then we see finally Beth has made her way home. And of course, she is she's distraught. Like, she's just been assaulted. And she gets on the phone, and she answers the phone call, and it's a phone call from Jose, who is a police detective. And he's, saying, hey, I got this, it was a situation. This guy got unalived, and the car was blown up, and she's so distraught that she can't really, she's like, I can't make it. I can't make it to there, to where you are tonight. I just can't do it. She's saying that she's been attacked, and she probably really doesn't really want to walk back out of her house, and she's afraid also. And so we see where, again, this is Jose, y'all. For those of y'all that missed my introduction video as to who the characters were, make sure, or the actors of the characters are, make sure you go back and check out that video. But Jose is, one of the guys one of the detectives that, normally reaches out to her, because she is a reporter, and he reaches out to her when things happen. So, hey, you could be the first one to get the story. But like I said, she was so distraught, she didn't really want, to go into that situation. Now we see Wrath, and this is Marissa. And Marissa is a Shellin, and she is the type of vampire that, she basically feeds off of one source, and her only source that she feeds off of is Wrath. And this is to keep her, from my knowledge of my TV knowledge of vampires, this is to keep her from, attacking non-vampire people and, turning them, you know what I mean? This is just her safe haven. And Wrath tells her, listen, the next time you're hungry, don't just, don't wait so long. Basically, don't starve yourself out. Come to me or call me, reach out to me, however they do it, and let me know whenever it is that you're ready. And this place that they're in, this room, is in the house of Darius. Darius has told Wrath earlier, hey, did you want to go to did you want to use your room to do what you basically needed to do for Marissa? And he, of course, says yes. And she bites him. And even though he is a vampire, it's still painful for him. And, because she's literally feeding off of him, taking his whatever blood that he has into him. And she's just, of course, she's doing what she has to do to survive, and he's doing what he has to do to make sure that she remains alive. I wasn't trying to rhyme, but that's literally what is going on in this particular scene. And so then, you guys, we get to see the moment where Beth is like, okay, I gotta go. I have to go and talk to Jose. I just can't, stand in this house like this. I need to go and talk to Jose. But this time she ends up pulling her pepper spray. She wants to take her pepper spray with her. Just in case Billy ends up, seeing her in the street or for whatever reason and attacking her. And so afterwards, when Marissa is done with, or when Raph is done with Marissa, Raph walks out of the room, and unfortunately Fritz comes up to Raph and lets him know that Darius has been unalived. Y'all, can I tell y'all, every time I listen to Fritz, I feel a little sad. Like him speaking and him being so honorable and respecting Darius's wishes, and just his older self. It's like sad for me. I don't know why every time I see him on the screen and he's talking and Fritz, it just makes me sad. I feel like when Fritz tells Raph that Darius has been unalived, it's almost like Fritz has lost a child, and he's telling another person that, even though Fritz was his butler, it's almost as if he's lost a child or a friend. And so we get to see him, give this letter to Darius to Raph, and Raph opens up this letter from Darius, and it's in some type of language, and Raph asks Fritz, hey, read this for me. And basically it's saying, if something happens to him, this house will belong to my daughter Beth. And if she doesn't make it during the transition, then the house can belong to Raph and the rest of the Brotherhood. And with him knowing that Darius is unalive, Raph gives out this super loud scream. It's like he's in pain as well, because he just lost a friend, a brother, and so we finally see Beth, and she has made her way to the crime scene, and this is where she's having a conversation with him, and he's saying, he sees her mouth, and he's like, what happened to you? What happened to you? And this is Butch, and he's saying, and he does great. A lot of people were saying, I want to see how he's going to do with the Boston accent. The Boston accent is definitely present. Michael Ward, he does an amazing accent with this. I'm not quite sure where he's actually from, but he does an amazing job. People were looking for the Boston accent, and it comes out. It literally comes out in his acting. And so he sees Beth, and he's like, what happened to your face? And what happened to your mouth? Because he sees the cut on her face, and she's, on her lip, and she's saying, no, nothing is wrong, nothing happened, I'm okay. And so she's getting ready to leave, and he does not believe that something is not right. He's like super persistent in asking her, but then she kind of threatens him, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to put out an expose about your investigation tactics. When you're asking questions of people, your interrogation tactics. And so he says, okay, all right, you can have that. I'll let you have that for now. But then when she walks away, she sees one of the stars, the actual star that Raph ends up throwing at the guy who could possibly be responsible for unaliving the one and only Darius, y'all. So she picks that up, she shows it to, or she takes a picture of it, shows it to Butch, and, of course, he does his thing. Now, listen, in this moment right here, this is when the Brotherhood has to, come into play. We've already seen Torment's face, but then we're introduced to Vicious, we're introduced to Rage, and we're introduced to Fury. And Raph is like, well, where is your brother? Where's your brother Sadis? And of course, y'all know that Fury as well as Zadist are twins. The two of them are twins. And so, you know, that's why Wrath asked him, "Where's your brother?" And of course, he's late, better late than never, because as soon as the conversation goes on about him, he ends up walking into the room. They have some, you know, back and forth commentary, and he tells Wrath to suck his, you know what, suck his eggplant. I'm just repeating what the man said. That's all, you guys. That's all. And so, after basically after all of this, you know, all of this back and forth, we know that now they have to investigate. The fellas know, hey, we need to figure out what Shellen did this, what individual or what lesson, I'm sorry, y'all, what lesson actually did this to Darius. And that's the goal. They're like, we don't care what kind of, Ralph is like, I don't care what type of war this starts. We need to find out who did this. And if we got to unalive every lesson out there, then that's just what we're going to do. And so also contained in this letter, y'all, we see where Fritz is telling Wrath that he also wants him, Darius wanted him to go and find his daughter and do what you had to do, you know, be a part of her transition, as well as, you know, the house and that whole situation. But in the midst of this, again, y'all, Fritz is, you know, there's also the address that's included, and he tells Wrath exactly where she lives. But again, Fritz is just, he's so sad. He wants to be so a servant to Wrath. He even asked him, well, what do you want to eat? What would you like to eat? He said, well, sir, I can make some lamb. And Wrath is like kind of resistant to him becoming, because not only does the house would belong to him if Beth doesn't make it through in this transition, but Fritz belongs to him as well. And so Fritz is trying to be that humble servant, that, you know, that individual that does whatever his master basically tells him to do. And so Fritz, you know, after he says that, and then finally Raptor's like, okay, yes, you can do that. And, you know, basically giving him permission and letting him know it's okay, you know, to continue to do your job, do what it is that you know, were doing for me. So then we see where Butch makes his way over to Beth's home. And this whole time, Boo, the cat, is at the window because, like, he sees that Wrath is literally standing outside of her back door. And, of course, he's not going in there right now because he sees that Butch is standing in there with her, talking to her. So Butch makes his way over to her home. He literally broke into the building to get to her apartment to find out what the heck happened to her face. And so she finally explains to him, this young man, she describes him, says that he had a diamond earring in his ear, diamond square earring in his ear. He, you know, pinned her up against the wall. He touched her in certain places. He hit her in her face. Like she literally explains to him, and Butch is already kind of on it because this same guy is actually at the hospital. So once Butch confirms that, okay, now I know exactly who it is she's talking about, he makes his way over to the hospital, jacks this guy up, and literally smashes his face into the floor, as well as that broken nose, and he gets arrested because he basically, you know, messed with his friend. And so the whole time when I told you guys that Wrath was standing on the outside of the door, he ends up making his way into her home. However, she's laying, you know, she's currently like laying on the couch. And all of this is going to appear like a dream to her, but she's laying on the couch and she gets up, she hears something at the door, and then she's at her back door, which is a glass door. She sees Wrath and she kind of jumps back. Then he forces the door open. He literally slides it, almost like a magic wand. Let's just slide this door open. And then she literally sees him and she's afraid. The table is knocked over. The items on the table are knocked over. Glass is broken. And then she wakes up and screams, and it's all as if this whole thing was just a dream. But she looks at the table, the coffee table, and she sees that there's literally broken glass on the floor, and there's some missing things on her table. So then back, and of course, at this, Wrath is gone at this point. She cannot, it's to her, in her mind, it was all a dream. But then we see where Wrath, he's basically, going to basically, it's almost like a fast, you guys. He's going to sit for a certain amount of hours. In the book, I think it was like a whole 24 hours to do this whole ceremony for his brother Darius. And he starts speaking into his language, or his vampire tongue, whatever you want to call it. And he's saying, in the name of the great scribe virgin, ritual for the Blackdagger brother Darius, and I will bear the pain and bleed. And he says this, and he literally, and bleed. And then he says this final statement, for the memory of this male of worth. And he kneels down. He's literally stripped down, naked, and kneeling down on all of these diamonds. And he's literally bearing the pain, just like he said he's going to bear the pain. And there's also a moment you'll see where the blood starts flowing from his knees, where he's basically laying down in diamond/glass. Okay, so then we finally, the next day happens, and we see Beth. She's getting ready to make her way back, to the her job. Basically, she's about to go back to work, but she finds out from Jose that Billy basically got released from jail because his daddy is some rich congressman, and he has, money to get attorneys, so on and so forth. So so because of that, she is now, at first she wasn't afraid because she thought that he was locked up, but now she's no longer, she's now afraid because he's not locked up. She thought it was locked up. Now he's not locked up. Jose unfortunately came to deliver the news to the victim. And so, she's like, okay, well, I'll just get a ride with you to work. And so, or, to the office. So in this scene, y'all, we get to meet Mr. W, Mr. X. This is Mr. X. And we see that these are all lessons. These people all in here with the blonde and the black, all these people in here, they're the lessons. And he is bold and acknowledges that he actually was the one that unalived Darius. Of course, he doesn't say this out in the public, but he says it. And spoiler alert for those of you that have never read the books or have not yet watched this series that is right now streaming on Passionflix. There's only one episode up there, and this was a part of the episode. So spoiler alert for those of you who have not seen it nor have read it in the book. Like I said, he gets up there and he acknowledges that, yeah, I did it, and what you gonna do about it, basically. But he's now making a plan to unalive everybody else, all of the Brotherhood, because the Brotherhood are some of the strongest vampires out there. And so that's his plan, to start a whole war until they're all gone. So then back at the police department, we see where she is, Beth is talking to Butch, and he's letting her know, look, this is his file, and it shows in his file, his name is Billy Riddle. This was just him, trying to let her know, listen, we're going to be watching this guy. So, it's going to be something challenging, but we're definitely going to be watching them. And he offers her, to go get something to eat. Of course, at first she says no, but then after the conversation and after he describes whatever food he's going to eat and all of that, she's like, okay, all right, I'll go, She complies, and, I love the nature of their friendship. Even though they're not like the best of friends, he still saw a woman that was in need, and he wanted to help her. They also describe in the book that, he found her attractive, but he never really tried to, like, really date her or anything like that. But this is Billy with the broke nose, and he is basically, at first when you see him, he's kneeling down because he know that he messed up. And so Mr. X lets him know, hey, go ahead, basically you run the class. And if you read the book, you know that Mr. X has other plans for Billy, but they don't give us that right away. There's going to be more to the story between Mr. X as well as Billy Riddle. So just keep that in mind. Then we see, and it's about to go down, y'all. It's about to get a little steamy. Just so y'all know, I didn't bring the images of what is about to go down because it's just a little too graphic for YouTube. But I'm going to try to be as descriptive as I possibly can. So anyway, Raph takes these cigars and he ends up taking a handful of them. And then we see, and this is the moment where Fritz was just offering him the food and everything like that. I kind of got ahead of myself, but this is the moment right here where Fritz was offering Raph food and cleaning his clothes. So anyway, we see Raph and he makes his way to Beth's home. Initially, she, didn't know that he was out there. She just knew that she smelled something kind of smoky, something kind of spicy. And because as of course, Boo, her cat, was at the door. Boo notices and recognizes everything. And so at first, when she sees him, at first she's afraid, but then he blows that smoke in her face. And I'm not going to say she was high, but she was high. It causes her to kind of calm her mind. It doesn't alter her mind. It doesn't make her, as he said, it doesn't control her mind, but it definitely does, calm her down so that she can hear what it is that he has to say. But she tells him, then she's getting way too comfortable. And then she begins to say, kiss me. And he's like, I'm not here for that. I don't think Raph expected what was about to go down between the two of them. But just know that he basically, it seemed like she controlled his mind because he literally did everything that she suggested that he do. And she tells him to touch her body. And I will leave it at that, y'all. I'll just say this last scene literally gives you 5 minutes of intimacy between Beth as well as Rage. There's a lot of touching of the body parts, a lot of kissing of the body parts. I'll say it like that. From head to toe. Excuse me, y'all. One pause. Sorry about that, you guys. Girl, mouth got dry, throat got dry, all the above. Anyway, like I said, there's a whole 5+ minute moment of intimacy between Raph as well as Beth. And the way that the episode ends is the two of them lying in each other's arms. And not just lying in each other's arms. I'm not, but just say no clothes, no clothes were available during the very last moment of this episode. And Raph even took his shades off, y'all. Y'all know Raph keeps those shades off for everything, but he actually took his wraparound shades off for this intimate moment. Again, this intimacy moment was approximately 5 minutes long, and it got graphic. Keep in mind, this is Passion Flicks, and it goes down on Passion Flicks. So with that being said, I just want to thank you all so much. YouTube, TikTok, thank you, thank you, thank you. And for those of you on TikTok, hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that like button, tap that screen, spread the word about all things ruthless, where weekly we will discuss the Blackdagger Brotherhood. Okay, we're definitely going to do this every week because it's looking as if they're going to give us one episode per week. So with that being said, y'all, your girl is up out of here. Thank y'all so much, and you guys have an amazing rest of your day. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Your girl don't get choked up often. I will make sure I have my water next time, but hit that subscribe button. Make sure you share this out. Spread the word that right here at All Things Ruthless, we are discussing the Blackdagger Brotherhood, okay? All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much, and your girl is up out of here. Have an amazing night, and stay ruthless.